Right, okay, here we have the Dell 2320. I've already taken the 6 screws out of the back. I'm going to take the back off it. This is one that I haven't done any modifications to before. What we're intending to do is add an SSD onto this card and then feed the rest of it back through USB to one of the ports down in the bottom corner. Right, okay, let's take a look at what we're going to need to do this. We've got the SSD. Here I've got a little caddy that's been took out of a laptop, which I will probably use double-sided sticky tape to stick to the top of the actual DVD. Into that we'll slide the SSD. Then onto that we need a caddy, which we bought off eBay for, was only about a few pounds, something like that. This basically puts a SATA drive into a drive bay, but of course for us it enables us to put that onto there, and then we're able to plug the interface from the Dell into that socket, providing us with a lead to install our SSD. To get the DVD back up and running, we need this port, which is the 7-pin micro SATA port. You're probably going to find that there's 2 different ports for these. There is this one, which is a 13-pin, and this one, which is a 7-pin. They shouldn't be confused, as of course one will fit and the other one won't. From this device we will go down to this socket, which will plug into here, and then this will lead down through the motherboard to a right angled lead, which should plug into the socket and then allow us to actually feed it back in through the machine and hardly be seen. Right, this is an already modified machine. We're going to do a restart, reboot to full and see the actual speed. So here we go. Now there's a lot on this machine, so we'll wait until the access has stopped going. Probably in the region of 20 to 30 applications that launch at the beginning. Just seen drive activity finish on the meter on the right hand side, so I'm going to stop it there. Probably about 3 minutes 40. Right, and we're going to do another start to reboot test. This is on a Windows 8 machine with not very much on it. Windows 8, we're going to be back at the Dell desktop or Metro screen in a very short while. I'll stop it at drive activity stop. Drive still activated. Not much drive activity now. 1 minute and 29 seconds. Considerably faster than the Windows 7. Right, now these were both on 3.5-inch drives. One of them is a 2TB drive that was in the custom machine, and the other one is a 1TB drive as standard in the Dell machine. Right, okay, let's go. I think you might be amazed at how quick this is probably going to go together, but here we go. We're going to loosen off the DVD just so that we can get to the back end of it. Once we've got to the back end of it, we're going to add in our adapter. He says, nearly getting it. I'm going to get this in the right spot. Right, now looking at that, I think we've hit problem number 1, which might be adapter is in the way. So my next expectation would be to split the case. Nice. Oh no. Right, well, nobody wants to break their adapter, so here we go. I suggest you probably take a little bit more care than me, but we've now got it off onto its just a bare board. I save a bit of room, slots nicely on. Am I going to worry about shorting out? Possibly not. It seems to be secure away from everything. Right, so that is basically your DVD sorted. And you'll see the idea of that. I mean, the idea of that is obviously this lead comes off, attaches to this lead, which we will then put down through the machine, plug into a USB port down here. So I tied it up in that respect, plug the cable down, take it out of the way, and there we have it, one installed DVD. We're then going to use a patch here, some Velcro, which I'm going to peel off. I'm going to stick to one side of our little caddy, peel off the other side, which I'm now going to stick on the back of the DVD player. Pretty central. I've already kind of zoned this out so that we know that there's some space there in the case. Now obviously we need to make this fit, so we're now going to take our tiny adapter that we took from, let's pull that up, took from our spare caddy, push that in. That gives us the normal SATA to mini adapter, which cost only a couple of pounds to get to that stage. Then we'll plug in the other adapter from the Dell, and again this is going to want repositioning, so I'll reposition it now. That goes on like so. Obviously I probably go for more Velcro in a machine, but as a demonstration this should do. Right, that's it installed. So we've got DVD drive with the micro SATA to USB adapter installed, wires pushed out of the way underneath here, adapter that joins it pushed into this crevice here, cable coming down with the L-shaped plug, which will allow it to just plug straight into one of the USB sockets over here, which it will go like that. That will run down by the side of one of the legs, and out from the legs one of the bits of plastic from within the case will be cut to make it fit. And that is generally it. Right, there's another trick to get this working. I'll explain as we get further in. Right, here's the rear of the case. You can see where the right angle comes out here. Clipped in just by the side of the screw. There's a bit of plastic which I've removed to make room for it. and as you can see, you can just take it out if you don't want to use it, or pop it back in. It's quite a tight fit, so you could make it looser. I seem to have made mine very tight indeed, but I'm not intending to take it out, you know, because it's part of the machine, so it stays in. The tighter it is, the harder it is for it to just fall out. Right, I've not videoed myself putting the back on the machine because there didn't seem much point. If you've followed any of the videos that I've done already, we've seen this a few times now. Right, I'm going to start it up. Let's see. Obviously I need to cut something out of the back of the case, or clip it just a little bit, just to get the cable through at the back. I'll show you how neat that is in a minute. Let's go for turning it on. Right, we have the machine coming on. You can hear the click of the DVD. Keyboard failure, which I can turn off. I've had a USB keyboard plugged into this. Hear the CD spin up, and we're on. Don't know how many seconds that was, but that was fast. Right, let's have a check. So we'll go desktop, devices. Right, now if I move this over here, don't know if you can see, we have a C drive, which I'll bring up the properties for it. C drive. Right, I'm going to move the camera so that we can actually see this. Right, there's a C drive with 236 gig, which makes it our 256 SSD. If you can see also on the screen, we've got the Windows Home Premium disc in, just to prove that it reads off the USB DVD writer. And if you can see that there's a couple of other drives, you've got the old system file from the 1 gig hard drive, and you've also got the reserve partition. Right, now obviously what I would expect most people to do is just to go in, wipe the original 1 terabyte hard drive, and just install whatever you want on it, you know, movies, etc., on that additional space, and leave the SSD to run all the other things. I've chosen a rather large SSD, a 256 gig. Reason I've gone for that is that I want to run virtual machines off it, and of course virtual machines run a lot faster off an SSD than they basically do off a hard drive. You've seen the speed this booted. You know, you can expect a very good performance off your virtual machines. Right, let's go and give it some sort of test as for rebooting and restarting. This is the XP system fully loaded. What we're going to do is do a full restart and boot. Should be quite quick now the SSD is inside it. change the hard drive, Microsoft Security Essentials kicks in and tells me that I might not be genuine. Look for drive activity, and we've stopped. 123.6. It's not bad. Have to look at what that compares to the original. Right, let's do a full reset, restart, etc. So settings, power, restart, start the clock. Watching to see when the drive activity stops. That was it. Right, so we're talking about 39 seconds. If you wanted to operate the machine, it was probably up from 25 seconds, which compared to what we saw earlier on, that's at least half the time. We'll compare it later on at the end of the video. Right, so I'm going to look at what we've achieved. We've achieved, in keeping the 2TB hard drive and installing an SSD, which is going to make the system a lot faster, and we've also managed, with the aid of USB, to be able to keep the DVD or Blu-ray drive in place. Right, the trick for getting it working, I found that once I restarted the machine and tried to boot up, it would only boot up with a DVD actually in the drive. So from then on, I've just basically kept a blank DVD always in the drive, so that whenever I start the machine up, it kicks in. Doesn't delay the startup very much, if you start up at all, because I tend to hibernate or boot from. I mean, the boot time on the Windows 7 is amazing at 39 seconds. Brilliant. Right, let's talk about times. I used to run it on Windows 7. As you've seen with the normal hard drive, I used to get 3 minutes and 40 seconds to boot, all the way around from a kind of standstill desktop. I chose to do this because it shows you how long it takes it to shut down and how long it takes it to boot up. With the SSD, we got 1 minute and 23 seconds, which is more than half of the boot time. Made Windows 7 a great machine to work with on this sort of thing. It was, clearly faster on all its performance things, even on so much as compressing or anything that requires a serious speed to write to the disk, compiling videos, various other things. It was a lot faster. Moved to Windows 8, which is why on this screen, if you look, I've moved to 8.1 recently as well, which gets rid of the Windows Experience system, so you can't basically see this screen on the Windows 8.1, so I've not been able to post one. Primary hard disk scored a 5.9. Once I'd put an SSD in it, it went up to a 7.6. On Windows 8, you get 1 minute 29 seconds on a normal hard drive it was taking to boot. On the SSD, again, dropped it down to 39 seconds. An incredible speed difference. It's more than half again. It's all a very different machine once you put an SSD in it. I haven't found anything after running it for several weeks that I could say is wrong with it. The DVD performs fine, the 2TB drive is fine, the SSD is absolutely great. Choosing the SSDs work faster and better and longer if you don't fill them up. If you put a load of files on them and fill them sort of more than 90%, those files that write frequently to the drive are kind of always writing into the same space. If you leave the drive half empty, it's very unlikely that they'll write into the same spot and the drive will last a lot longer. Right, if you have any comments or anything like that, please get back to me, and I'll try and answer your questions as soon as possible. The next thing I'm going to try and do is put an i7 2700K into one of the machines.